On the machine, the mats come down the channels here on by this belt, star wheels down at the bottom, and they're assembled in the assembler elevator. Okay, so they assemble down through here. You raise the assembler elevator, these two fingers grab it, they take it over to the first elevator. This is your first transfer point, is in this area right here. The mats have to go from this area into this area right here, into this area right here where this can hold it to go down in front of your mold. So it has to transfer into this area, out of that area smoothly. You don't want it hitting here and stopping. You don't want it chattering when it goes through because you're wearing your teeth out. So the adjustment for this, actually the first thing you have to adjust, and let's turn it on. The first adjustment you make is you take your first elevator and you drop it down until it gets down onto this face right here, where it's down in that position. This roller should be in this groove here, and then to adjust it, you want it just barely missing you want it to where it turns freely but not touching. The adjustment for that is right in here. There's a bolt that you loosen, and then up front you loosen another bolt and you adjust this arm to where it's just barely missing the cam right there. That's the very first adjustment you make. I'm holding this because this is what's called a no cast. That keeps the plunger from going down as long as I push it this direction. Some have this on it, some just have this. So you can push that or push this, does the same thing. It keeps your safety locked on the plunger handle. So I'm going to send it on the round. The plunger's not going down. Let it cycle back to normal position, or what's called home position. Now the adjustment for this right here is this, I call it shock absorber. There's a big spring inside that gives it pressure when it goes up. Down here at the bottom there's a little spring that goes in these notches. You have to loosen the nut up here and then turn this left or right to get this perfectly aligned with this channel right here, your intermediate channel, so that when the mats go in, they go in smoothly and cleanly without any chatter or without binding. Alright, that's your transfer right there. As long as your mats are going in clean and smooth, you got it good. Now the next transfer is up here at the top where they go from the first to the second elevator. And that's kind of a hard one that people have trouble with a lot. And it's kind of important because if it doesn't go onto that bar, it'll tear your teeth up and ruin your mats. I need a pie mat. And a pie mat is a mat that has all the teeth in it. These other mats have teeth cut out so they fall in the channels at the top where they belong. You have your pie mat that has all the teeth in it. I take it and I'm sliding it in the channel. Now, by the way, you have your casting point and you have your reference face where you can see what the mat is, and this is what does the business. This is what the metal squirts into, is this side. This side that the metal squirts into always faces the back of the machine. So you put it in with that facing the back. Okay? Now if you put them on up there, same thing. You put them in, this has to face the back. If I put them in right here, same thing. This has to face the back. Again, what we want to use is a pie mat to make this adjustment up here for this transfer. The transfer is up here is probably the most critical and the hardest one to get. So we take the pie mat and we take the casting surface facing the back of the machine. We slide it in between our two jaws. Just slide it in enough so that it doesn't hit your jaws when it goes down. Close this back up. And don't jiggle it a lot because sometimes that is loose in there and the mat will fall out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lock this right here because when it gets up top, I do not want it to transfer. I want it to stop like I'm going to do a recast. I'm just holding in my no-cast safety. I'm going to pop the clutch one time so it starts its cycle. Stops right there. I push my clutch in, I turn it off. I reach in with 2 fingers and I push the mat over close to the bar that is transferring, but not onto the bar, but close to it. I take my piece of white paper and I stick it in the channel so I've got a background or a backdrop to it. I take my trusty little flashlight and put it on there so that you've got some illumination. And then you look down through here. A lot of them won't have this piece. You'll just be looking through here. But this one has a hole specifically made so you can look in there. And what you're looking for is an upside down Christmas tree, because you want to see the light all the way around the mat so that you know the mat will go onto the bar and doesn't hit the bar. All right. If it's bad up and down, then you adjust it with the screw right here. It's a stop screw. You have to loosen the nut and then move this screw either up or down to get it where you want it. If it's bad going in and out, then you adjust it right here. You unscrew this, and there's another screw behind this one that's a newer model, and you can move this plate in or out to move the bar in or out, and then tighten it up good. Now on the older machines, you might have to shim it. You might have to put a piece of paper under it or file it a little bit to get that to actually line up properly. Once you get that aligned center, then you take the mat, reach up with your 2 fingers and you move it back and forth across between this and that to make sure that it's going smoothly. If it's not, then you may have to adjust a little bit more, or you may have to, sometimes you can't get it pushed back in there, so you have to cycle the machine back around, put your mat back in and start over again.